Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Taik 18 live stream. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. So, today, here with me is Hasham Niaz, and he is an experienced IT professional with more than 15 years of experience. We have, and his experience in BI, database, Power Platform, technologies with the client and implementation spanning multiple continents. That's correct. As a sort out after presenter and program community organizer of Power Platform and BI database, he has contributed to the events in Middle East, Asia, and United States. So today the topic is all about learn the basic DAX. And here you go. And here's the step for you, Hashim.
Thank you, everyone. So let me share my screen first and see what we got here. So let me know if you guys can see the PowerPoint slides.
Yeah,
Okay. So our today's topic is let's learn DAX basics. So we have a lot of questions coming up in the forum, Microsoft Community Forum, or other tech forums where people are struggling with DAX, and DAX is some kind of a taboo for all the newcomers, and they are really struggled with the basic DAX concept. So today, in today's presentation, we will discuss about how you can master the basics, and then you can solve complex business logic through DAX. So here is my brief introduction. Thank you, Mohammed, for inviting me to the Tech 18 live event, and hopefully I'm glad that everyone will enjoy today's experience. So with this, the resources we'll be using. So you will be using Power BI Desktop, where we are is it's a client-based Windows tool where you can actually develop your Power BI reports and Dash Power BI reports, and then our sample dataset is already published in the library. So our session objectives and agenda, what we'll be doing today, and how we are going to present. So we have almost around 30 to 40 minutes, and then we have some time for Q&A. So we'll try to cover almost exercise 1, exercise 2, and maybe part of exercise 3, and I will leave the rest for you as a homework exercise. So let's discuss what is available in exercise number 1. In exercise number 1, we will create a sales measure, which is a very basic sales measure. In a moment, I will show you each exercise, what would be the objective and how it look like when we finish that particular exercise. And then I will show you the data set which we'll be using for today's presentation. So we will create a basic sales measure, then we will create total sales measure, then we will create city wise sales measure, and then we will have percentage city by sales measure, and then percentage sales by product contribution, like how much each product is contributing in a sales and how much each city is contributing in particular sales. Okay, in overall sales. Similarly, we have exercise number 2, which we want to create a last year sales measure. We'll create a last year sales measure, then we will create a dynamic last n year sales measure, and similarly we will create a dynamic last n months or any number of months going back or forward measure. And our exercise number 3 is going to talk about the basic difference between sum versus sum x, and it's the most complex thing. Still people do not master it, so we'll try to give you some examples and some hand on the exercise on that. So this will be our exercise number 1, where we will be creating a sales measure. Then we will need to create a total sales measure. So we have a set total sales measure, then we have a percentage sales contribution by city measure. So this will conclude our exercise number 1, and then we will have to create a percentage sales by product. So with this, we will have last n years measure, like we will have last year sales measure. Then we will have this particular parameter, we'll work with the parameter to see last n years sales. And similarly, in the next exercise, we will have this called last n month or n months. We'll go back and forward in any number of uh, duration. -3, we'll go back 3 months, or we'll go +3, we'll go forward 3 months, and this will create our sales. for that particular period. So this is how it would look like. So we have these in the slide, and this is like a homework exercise for you guys, where we will be showing like 9 or 10 different formats for sum versus sum x, where almost some, in most of the cases they return similar results, but in different cases they are behaving differently. So we will try to understand what is the objective of these two functions and why these two functions should be used in the specific use cases, and they are not interchangeable. With this, I want to show you some sample data here. So we have some supermarket sales data which I have collected. So we have this Excel file loaded up here, which has city sales for Dubai, London, and New York. And the other attributes here are product line, gender, customer type, country, branch, invoice number. Uh, the field which we are going to be considering more here is our invoice date, when the sales actually happened, and the sales amount, the order amount which we have for the sales. So with this, I have already loaded this data here, and currently you see this mice coming up as blank, so I purposely removed all those measures in the, so we'll be creating those measures. So this is the look and feel. I have created some validation charts on the right. So we have the city sales. So if I click on this chart, we don't have any measure here. So this is called a, you can,
Hisham,
yes.
I just want to cut you. Sorry about that. So there is a comment here. Are we going to share the Excel file with the user after this session?
Yes, yeah, for sure. So we will share the Excel file with the user so they can have. Also, this user file is already available up here uh, in the folder, so you can download it from this URL. So I can post this URL,
Yeah,
and
please post this URL. And
so
also,
let's.
while you are showcasing the demo, if you possible, can you just zoom your screen for that particular
Yes.
area?
Okay, I will. So I just have this one with you. You can share it up, and okay. So with this, let's move to the demo part, like what we are going to do. So with this, let's focus back on exercise number 1. So we'll try to create a very basic first measure, which is a sales measure. So I have now, so with this, let's go back to this file. So let me show you, I have already loaded this file here from my sample data folder. So I have used the Excel data folder for connection. So if you want to load those files, you can go, your file or your data set can be in SharePoint online. SharePoint databases could be a SQL Server database, or I have, for the purpose of simplicity, I have placed all this in the folder location, and I have connected this. So if you see all those data here, which is sample sales, this is available up here. So all those 3 files are loaded up here, and I'm loading this file. So with this, now I have done some basic things here. Let me show you here. So I have this sales table, and then I have created a calendar table, and I have created a relation called one to many. So I will show you in a bit. So I am creating a relationship based on calendar date column with sales table date column, and this is a many to one or one to many, and cross filter direction is single. So with this, let's see calendar function here. So let me zoom up here. So let me know if you guys can see the zoom.
Yeah, this looks much better.
Okay. Okay. So now this is the calendar function which we are using. So I have populated dates from 2018 January 01 to 2020 December 31st. So this will actually have all my dates created. So if I show you here, this is my date table here. I go back and I click on this calendar table. So you see all the dates from starting from 2018 to end of December are populated. So this is the simplicity. There are many different ways to create date table. You may find on internet that some people are creating it through DAX, some people are creating it through Power Query, some people are using SQL Server date tables. So there are, it's totally your own preference. You may find examples from Marco Russo on DAX table, and you may find Power Query examples from MK. Um, So from Power Query, and there are other examples as well. So it is your own preference, like how you want, and there are obvious some advantages and disadvantages of each uh, step. So with this, let's try. I have already for just saving time, so I have all this thing available. So I will just try to create our first measure. To create a measure, you can right click on the table and you click on new measure. Also you can click on home tab and you can click on new measure. So I will usually prefer to right click and click on new measure. So with this, it will open up a measure window for me. So I have said, okay, let's say I want to create a sales measure, and what this will be doing, this will be summing up the sales column from the sales table. So once I validated this DAX, you see, I will just need to format this as well. So you see, this is 1.83 million sales started coming up. Previously, when I did not create it, this was coming up as cross as well, because it does not find this measure. So this is my sales. So I have created my first measure. So if I go back to my exercise, so I have created the sales measure. Now I need to create a next measure, which is going to be my total sales measure. So let's go back and have one more measure created, which is called total sales. So I'm going to create total sales measure here. So again, similar thing, you click on new measure. There are different ways. You click on home tab, you click on new measure, you go to modeling, and you click on new measure as well. So there are four ways. You can choose whatever you like. So I've created a measure called underscore sales city total. So what it is doing, it is I'm using the calculate function, and I'm using the already created sales measure, and I'm saying all selected sales city. So what this measure is going to do is going to return me total sales irrespective of the city selection. So let's parse this one for now, and let me format this as well. So this coming up as well. So now I have these two measures created up here. So let's say I have these two measure up here. This is requiring two more measures to be created for the first. So let me create one more measure here for now, using the same right click on date measure. Now this time what I'm doing, this time I'm calculating the Dubai sales, and I'm using the filter function. So I'm saying calculate sales, and I'm passing using the filter function, and I'm passing the sales table, and I'm filtering it based on where city equals to Dubai. So this is one flavor I have created. Let's pass this one for now and format as well. So I have done this one, and now I will be using another thing here, which is called percentage city. So with this, let's have something on. I will click on new measure as well, and this time I'm using percentage sales by city, and I'm using the divide function, and I'm dividing my sales with the total sales, like whatever the cumulative total sales of all cities. So this will give me the percentage. So with this, when I format this one, this should be a percentage. So I'll say this is the percentage number. So I have formatted this. I go back home, I minimize this one. Okay, so let's see what we have got now here. So we got Dubai says, and we got what this is. Okay, so let's say we have with filter, and there is one without filter, and I will just try to create one more measure here, just so our first visual will render it properly. So we have like almost created 5 measures here. This one, what I'm doing here, let's try to see what I'm doing here is I am using this calculate function. I am using the sales measure, which I have already created. Now this time I am not using the filter function. This time I am directly passing the filter clause, and I'm saying return me the sales where city equals to Dubai. So let's see, try to figure out the difference. What is the difference between those two measures? So when I minimize this one, you see now, if we zoom this chart, let me know if you guys can see the zoom here as well. So this is my city, which is an attribute, and I'm plotting the sales measure. I'm plotting sales Dubai without filter, sales Dubai with filter clause, and the total city sales. So you see my Dubai sales is 607K, my London sale is 798K, and my New York sales is 429K. My total sales is 1.83 million. Okay, so now if I go back, you can see my total sale is 1.83 million, and you can validate from the validation sheet here as well that okay, Dubai sales is coming as 607, London sales is coming as 6798, and New York sales is coming as 429K. Okay, now if I talk about the percentages, so if I need to check here the percentage, so let me place one more measure here, which is percentage sales by Dubai, sorry, percentage sales by city. So if I plot this up here, and you will be able to see this is now coming up here. I have the validation sheet where I don't use any measure. I only use the default field or implicit measure. So you can see 33% is the contribution of Dubai, and you can see here I have place this thing which is highlight color rule, where I have placed one chart and I only put the legends here. I don't put any values here. Okay, so it could be you can put donut chart, you can put pie, or you can put a tree map here, anything, but you don't provide any values here. So I can see all the labelings are based on Dubai is coming as light blue, London is coming as dark blue, and New York is coming up as, you could say, orange shade, some orange and brown shade in between. So I have done this on the theming side as well. So I can see those percentages measures are coming up as fine. I can see London is coming up as 43.5, and uh, New York is coming up as 23.9. So now if you guys are uh, here, let's zoom in again this window. Okay, now see, the problem with this measure is underscore sales Dubai without filter is, now this is returning the same value. This is returning sales value irrespective of either the attribute is Dubai or not. So what it is doing, it is bypassing the context of the city. So even if I'm in London, it is returning the sales for Dubai. Even if I'm in New York, it is returning the sales for Dubai as well, which is 607. Okay, but with this measure underscore sales Dubai with filter clause, it is only returning the sales where it find the attributes equals to Dubai. So you understand the difference between first exercise, what is the purpose of first exercise. So let's go back and try to debug these two things. So let me go back here and turn off my webcam for a minute so you guys can see. Okay, now let's see, these are two values here. So one is with filter clause. So what this with filter clause does, it is actually calculating the sales. And when I say the filter clause, filter table, this will, I will need to provide a table. So this will filter the sales tables, and based on what, where city equals to Dubai. So it will always check that, okay, I need to return the sales for only Dubai. What happened with this one? So if I remove this one for now, and if you want to see the calculate function clause, so this is like the help expression is like you pass the measure name or whatever the expression, and then you can provide n number of filters. So I am directly providing the filter says, okay, return the sales where city equals to Dubai. Okay. When I click OK, what happened is like it does not take into an account where either I need to return the Dubai sale for this particular attribute or context or not. So it will return Dubai sale regardless of whatever attribute I'm picking up. So if I go back here and I say, here I pick London. So even you see, I have picked London. All the other rows are filtered based on London sales, which is 798. But this measure is still returning me 607K sales. So this is a use case where you might use this format of DAX where you use this without the filter function clause, where you need to get the sales for that particular measure. Like if I need to have the Dubai sales for that particular period, regardless of whatever attribute, if I'm London or if I'm in New York, so I can use that particular format. But if I want to use a format, like this depends on your business requirement, like either you want to show this or not, so then you can decide which particular format you want to use. There is no correct right or wrong between. There is the dependencies based on your business requirement. So if your business requirement, or if you need a logic where you need to build, like, okay, let's go back to this total sales measure. So like what this is doing now, so our total sales measure is doing like whatever the selection criteria is, like I am selecting those. So let's say go back here and I have this filter. So now let's say I suppose this New York. So this is currently showing me New York sales as total sales. But what if I select these multiple filters? So now this is showing me whatever the selection criteria is. And if I select all, so then this is showing me 1.83 million. So this is based on whatever is my selection criteria. How about if I change this parameter from 2021 to 2022? So now this is showing me this 2022 sales. And how about if I say London and Dubai? So now this is actually based on 1.28 million, which is part of comprised of Dubai and London sales. Okay. How about if I say, okay, let's say London and New York. Now this time this is coming up as 1.1 million, and all the percentages are calculated based on this. Like this is the 69%. Now you see the difference between these two. Now this is calculated based on 69%, because our total sales is 1.1 million, and out of 1.1 million, Dubai is contributing 69%, and New York, sorry, London is contributing 69%, and New York is contributing almost 31%. So, but if you see this chart is still showing that Dubai is 46%. Sorry, London is 46%, but this is actually showing on the overall sales, not the sales of London and New York. Do you have any question? Do you have any question regarding this concept, like what we are doing in these steps? So I will wait for a question to arrive, and then we'll move to the next part. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, drop in your questions.
So far, just one question, Hisham, is about the link which you have provided, right? It's not working.
Okay, so maybe I will, maybe this is some permission issue problem. So I'll provide the permissions after finishing this chat.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay,
Okay,
then I will
so,
update the link in the video description in the later part.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, so fine with this. Now moving to, let's see what is remaining in our first exercise. So we have almost created sales measure, we have created total sales measure, we have created city-wise sales measure, and we have created percentage sales by city. Okay, what is the city contribution or in overall sales? Now our last part for this first exercise is we need to create a percentage sales measure by product. So now if we go back, and let me show you here this particular chart. Let's zoom this chart. So let's have this zoom up here. Okay, I need to have two more here. I think in this particular chart we have, yes, right. So in this chart I need to move to exercise number 2, and
Is
I
it
need to
possible
create,
for you? Sorry,
yes.
Hisham, is it possible for you to zoom that particular area while you are presenting? Because people are stating that it is a blurry video for you.
Okay.
The video is not clear, visuals is not clear.
Okay, so when I say focus mode, is it fine when I click on the focus mode? Is it working for you guys? 'Cause when I,
Um, this measure is okay, but still sometimes it gets, now it's blurry.
okay, okay, maybe let
Yeah,
me go
switching
back.
between the notepad and then presentation and
Yes,
then Power BI, it's getting a
yes.
lag.
Okay, okay. So I will try to pause a bit when I'm
Mm,
changing between those two, and
yeah.
then hopefully this will work. Okay, so I'm saying that this is, now there is one more thing. Like if you see when I created this measure is created in a different table and months table. So if I need to move table from one table to another. So I can move using the home table function here, and I can move this into home table. Okay, so with this, let's say this is general, so I'm saying fine, and I need to create one measure which is called product sales. So similarly, when I do create the total sales measure, I am creating a product total measure, so I can calculate the percentage of product total. So when I'm creating a percentage sales by product, so I'm dividing the number of whatever the sales total sales is with the product total sales. So once I do that, see, this visual is rendering, and hopefully you guys can see this visual in the zoom mode. So now keep in mind, let's go back, and I need to drill up a hierarchy here for everyone to understand. So let me drill it up, and now we go into the zoom mode. Okay, so if you see this function product, so I need to change this to a percentage as well, because this is a percentage measure. So now you can see this is coming up as percentage. So let's try to debug the DAX and then try to understand this one. So first I created this total sales measure, and what I'm doing here, I'm calculating the sales, and I'm passing all selected whatever is selected in the current context. So I'm taking all that into an account, and I'm seeing the product line. Okay, so this is one thing. So with this, I calculated the product sales measure, which you can see is a grand total of the product. So I have in each line, for each product line, I have the total sales for that particular product line, and I have the total sales. So when I divide this 280k with 1.62 million, so I will get 17%. Okay, so with this, now how about if I change this, so with this measure, like percentage sales measure. So if I say this is the percentage sales measure, and I have this coming up as I'm dividing the sales measure with the product total sales. So this is giving me the reflection of, like, okay, this is a 17% contribution, this is a 14% contribution, this is a 26% contribution, this particular product category or product line, and then these all sum it up to 100%. Okay, how about if your business comes up with a requirement, like, okay, which is fine, you are showing me this is correct, but if I drill it to the next level and now I zoom it up. Okay, now if I zoom it up, now this is coming up as 17%, but this is based on which particular thing? This is based on your city's contribution in that particular product. Okay, now if a business requirement is, okay, I need to calculate whatever the Dubai's contribution is among this particular product line, like electronic accessories. So now I have this measure called, which is percentage cities, percentage sales by city, and this is actually showing me 32% is the contribution of Dubai within uh, within this one, this particular category. The total sales is 280k, and now if I divide this by 90k, so let's suppose I divide this 90k by 280k, and I will have this 32%, almost 32% contribution. So this is based on your individual sales for that particular product category. So this is coming us up to 32 and 51. So what this is showing you, actually right now 17.36%. So 17.36% is coming up as, like, whatever Dubai sales is, like in this thing, I say this is coming up as 90k, and now this is dividing it by 520. 520 is your Dubai sales in overall. So this is coming us, so this is coming up 17.3. So you need to understand, like, what percentage your business is looking for. So at the gross level, they might be interested in having this overall product contribution, but at the city level, they might be interested in seeing the city's contribution in that particular product line. So you have these two measures up here. Any question with this one, if you guys are finding this concept a bit more complex to understand, like, what I'm trying to say here is, like, okay, let's go back and let me zoom it up here. Okay, so my sales is 280k for electronics accessories now, and my total sales, product sales, is 1.6 billion. So product contribution is very simple. I divide this particular product line, whatever the product line sales is, with the total sales, which will yield me the percentage contribution of that particular product. But if I drill it to the next level, if I drill it to the next level and now I zoom, now I want to find the Dubai contribution, Dubai sales contribution in this electronic sales. So this particular measure is not giving me the correct result. If, as you can see, the percentage sales measure is not giving you the correct sales, because this is actually showing you 17.36, which is Dubai contribution in overall Dubai sales, which is not correct. So I need to find a measure. I need to write a measure in a way that, okay, when my when I'm in that particular scenario, like when I'm selecting the Dubai sales, so I can get the total sales for that particular product line. So with this, I have calculated, like I have this measure called cities. So with this, I am actually, as you can see, I am using this city total measure, and with this city total measure, if we zoom this measure, this is calculating the cities total, all selected cities within that particular, within that particular you could say context. So the context is electronic accessories, so this will bring 280k for this one. And similarly, if I want to see for fashion accessories, so this will divide 68k by 235k, because the current context for the product categories will be two, and this will yield something like 29k, 29%. Okay, so any question on this exercise? So with this, hope you understand like the usability, in which use case we need to use what context, and what are the filter, what is the purpose of using the filter context here in the measure, and what is the difference between using it without filter clause. And there are certain performance issues as well. So if you are sure that you don't need to run it on the same access or same attribute, so you can use this for the simplification purpose. A lot of the people are using, and there is a significant performance advantages on that using this context, because the other context which I showed you with the filter clause, this will actually evaluate for each and every single attribute value or row context. Okay, which has a significant hindrance. Okay, with this, how much time do we have? Like, can we go to exercise number 2?
Yeah, we can go for the next exercise.
Okay, so with this, let's try to reread this exercise. So we need to create a last year sales measure, and we need to have a dynamic last year sales measure, and similarly n months measure. So I will try to simply go back here. I have created one. Hopefully you guys might know this thing called what if parameter. So what I'm doing here is I have created a new table, new parameter, which is called the what if parameter, and I have labeled this as last n years. And now here I am saying I generated by, like, you can provide the whole number, like minimum value, maximum value, and I can provide the incremental value here. So I have done this. I have already created this, and I have created the n months as well. So this is created from -6 to 6. Like, my minimum value is -6, my maximum value is 6, and increment is 1. So let's see these values. What this does, it will actually create a series here from -6 to +6, and the other one is going to create a series from 1 to 5. Okay, so I have created those two measures which I'll be using. So first I need to create a last year sales measure. So there are different, obviously different techniques we'll be using to create a last year measure. So first I will create a last year sales measure using the date add function, so which is a very common technique we all. So I right click on the measure, and I say I need to create last year sales, and I'm using the date add function. So what I'm doing, I'm again using the same calculate function, same sales, I'm calculating the sales, and this time in the filter clause I'm passing the date add function. And I say I need to pass the date add function. I'm passing the date hierarchy here, which is calendar date dot date, and I'm saying, okay, I need to go back one period, and the period is year. So you can pass months, so it will go back 1 month. But since I need to calculate the sales for last year, so I am going back last 1 year. So once I click this one and I say okay, this one, so I have this measure up here, and as you can see here, I have these 3 months selected, and I have this one up here as well. So all these 3 month sales are appearing up here. Okay, now I created another variation in the last year sales. So I have these three variations here right now. So I'm using the last year sales using the parallel period function. So similarly, you can see the first part is same. I'm calculating the sales. Now the filter part is where I'm passing the parallel period function, and I'm passing the same calendar hierarchy, calendar date dot date, and I'm saying okay, -1 period going back -1, and then the period is year. So once I did that, I validated my DAX, and you can see some of the sales is starting last year. Date at function is coming as 346k. Parallel period is showing 1.62 million. And now I have the third variation, which is I'm going to use same period last year. So with this same period last year, there is an obvious advantage you might be seeing here is like I'm using the calculate sales function. I need to calculate sales, and I'm using the same period last year function, and I don't need to pass any -1, -2, or the period dimension like year, month, or so this function already know that okay, it needs to go back one period, and the period is year. So once I click this and I have this one calculated, like I have formatted this one, so I have these three cells up here. So now I see why this one is not rendering. Okay, so there is one more thing. So let's go back here and see if yes, fine. So okay, so this is now if I choose 2021, you see I have selected these 3 months. Okay, what if I unselect everything and I say all the months of 2021 are selected from starting from January till October. So I have says from January till October for now. Okay, so let's save this for now, and I will try to explain this in a bit. So we have these three measures here, so we will compare all these three measures one by one. So first one is same period last year, the other one is with date at function, and the third one is with parallel period. So let's try to zoom in for now. Okay, so now I have zoom in. Hopefully you guys able to see this thing here. So if you see my current year sales is 1.8 million. Okay, correct. And if I want to show my last year sales, so my last year sales is going to be, if I select here 2020 and I say all the months, so you can see, not here, I need to go back. Just if I show you here, so you can see my last year sales is 1.623 million. Okay, so now if I switch to 2021 and I zoom it back, so you see same period last year function is actually showing me like, okay, my current year sales is 154k, and my same period last year for January 2020 would be 119k, and date and function is showing the same 119k, but the parallel period function is showing me the overall sales. Overall sales means like it is showing the cumulative sales, which is 1.623 function million, 1.623 million. Okay, so how about if I change this? I think I have one more here table. If I go back here and let's say this time I select this as 2020, so you can see if, so this is my validation sheet. I would say this is my validation sheet. So if I want to see 2020 January sales, because this is my last year, if I have selected 2021, so you can see this is coming as 119k in both same period last year and the date at function, but this is actually showing me the overall sales for that particular year, regardless if I am in January. So if I drill it the next level, so if I drill it the next level, sorry, So this is showing me the sales for each and every particular day, but the parallel period function is actually repeating. So there might be a use case where you want to have the cumulative sales regardless of whatever you select. Like I want to have this one, like here I want to have this last year parallel function, so I can use the parallel year period function. Similarly, date at function, and all those are returning the same results because
Mhm.
they don't have anything in the hierarchy. Okay, yes, any question?
No, nothing. You can continue.
Okay, so with this, now what is the obvious advantage and which one do we prefer? So I would personally say, okay, we have those flavors, same period last year, date at, and everyone has its own use case and advantages. I would prefer the date at function, and if you see this thing called -1, so how about, because I like this because I can actually extend this function, I can extend the functionality, and I can maybe do some advanced things here. Like if I want to go, remember the task where we have to create the dynamic last 10 year sales measure. So with this, I think, how about if I can use a parameter here, something, and I can actually go back and forward. So you see I have already created a slicer here which is showing me last 2 years or 1 years or maybe last 5 years. So how about if I use this one, and same here, I create one more measure here which is going to be, okay, this time I need to switch to other sheet, and like this. Okay, so I will just copy paste here for, oh, this function was already here, I did not see. So now I need to create a measure, and let's try to read this measure, how we are writing this. So I have created last n years sales using date at function. I have declared the variable called n years, and this time I am using the what if parameter value, whatever is selected in my last year values, and I'm multiplying it by -1, so it would go back actually in time. So if I don't multiply, it will go forward. So since this is, I need to go back in time, so I have created this measure. So once I submit this, and you see this time I'm using the same calculate return, and in the date and function, rather than using the hard code -1 value, I'm using, like, if the user is selected 2, this will be automatically -2. If the user is selected 5, this will be -5. So I can go -5 period. So once I selected this one, I formatted this for now, and I can go back to this 3 sheet. I think not this one, 3A. Yes. Okay. Oh, fine. Yes, 4, 3. Yes, this one is fine. So what this one is showing up here. Okay. So if I unselect this one for now and I say last n year measure, which I have already created, so I need to change the home table here. So it would, all the measures would be, and you can always align all your measures. So I have created this last n years using the dated function. Okay, so for this one I have removed some of the function here. So you see this is showing the 3, but I think I don't have the last 3 years sales. So if I select this one, so this is actually showing me some sales here, and let's suppose I say this one here. So now if I select 2021, so this is my 2021, and I have selected all the months. So let's try to simplify this. So I only select these 3 months for now, which is January, February, and March. And I say I need to go back only 1 year. So you see all those same period last year, date at function, and last year, which is based on dynamic one, is actually, so this is actually going to show me the sales for which period, sales for 2020, all these 3 functions. This is the current year sales, which is 2021, and all these 3 are showing And how about if I move it to 2? So now this time these two functions, same period, these two measures, sorry, are showing me the sales for 2020, but this is actually showing me the sales for 2019. So I go to the validation sheet and I say, let's suppose I select 2019 here, and I see January sales is 110k, February is 82k, and March is 114. I go back here and I can validate January is 110k, February is 82, and March is 114k. So this is how you can create a dynamic measure. Any question on this part?
Um, it's just about how can we create measure folders in one place.
Yeah. So we can create a measure folder here. You go to the modeling tab here, and since I can select this measure here, and I can say, okay, this would be the sales folder. So I will align all my measures in the sales folder. And if you are talking about this table, I will just show you in a minute how we can create this measure table as well. Uh, so I can just quickly do all those things here. So all my measures you can see are now going into the sales table. So, so this just takes a few seconds here, and you can see all the, so if I expand this, all my measures are going into the sales table. And if you want to have subfolders in the subfolders as well, you can do it like this, something like this, comma sales one. So if I do something like this, so you can see I have this. It was, I guess, semicolon. Okay, so we can go ahead with this one. And how about if you want to create this measure? So what I simply do is I go here, let's save the file for now so I don't lose the content. So I will go here and I say enter data, and I will create a dummy table call underscore measure, something like this. You can create this table and you load this table. For now, you will have this table on the top, because when you use the underscore sign, this table will appear on your top side. So you can name anything. I usually prefer this one, and then I can go here in the modeling side, and this is my measure table. I can use hide column, so this won't be appearing, and then I will right click and create all my measures in this table. So now I'm going to remove this because I already have this table up here. Okay. Any question on that part? Always feel free to align your model diagram here and align your measures, everything. Okay, now we have almost covered exercise number 2. Now the last part of the exercise was last and dynamic months. Like I can go back where I use -6 to 6. So I can go back, and if I want, I can go forward as well. So to do that, what I'm going to do, I need to create one more measure here, and this time I would say, hmm, I need to have this measure up here, new measure, and we will try to explain. So I say n months, and I'm calculating the sales using the date add function. I have created few variables here. So I have created a maximum date, which I am pulling up from the maximum date of my calendar dimension, whatever is selected. So if I select 2021 in that particular context, January 2021, so it would be 31st January. The date will be 31st January 2021. And similarly, it will get the minimum date of the current context. So if I select start date and end date, like, so the minimum date would be 1st of January 2021. And similarly, I am choosing whatever is coming from the number of months. So you see, I did not multiply it from -1, because in this particular table I already have both negative and positive number, from -6 to +6. So a user can choose if they want to go back 6 months, or if they want to go forward 6 months. So what I'm using up here is, like, if, like, I'm here I'm deciding like if I want to use minimum date or a maximum date. So I have written a very simple if clause. So I'm checking if the number of month is greater than 0. So it means if the number is positive, like so, in that case use the minimum date, else use the maximum date. So we'll just understand what the minimum and maximum date is concept is. Like so if I'm using a negative number or a number of month is greater than 1, so then what I'm going to do, I need to have the minimum date, like I need to have 1st of January at that particular time. So I need to calculate from that particular point. Or if the number of month is negative, so I need to go back and get the maximum date, and I will use the maximum date in that particular point. And other thing is like I'm using this one, dates in period function. So date in period function is I'm not using the date at function. Date in period function is like I can use all those 3 periods. So if I select January, February and March, so all those 3 periods are selected, so it will give me the cumulative sum of all those 3 months. And finally I'm returning the sales, and I'm passing those dates as a parameter, like I'm passing both January, February and March. So let's see this example in function. So once I have loaded this one, so now I have this one available up here, and you can see this chart is rendered. And now I have this last year sales data, last n year sales data. I'm not very much fussed about it, so I'm only interested about 2021. And this time I select the month called January, February and March. Okay, so if I select January, February and March, so this is showing me the sales for January. This is showing the sales of January last year. This is again showing the sales of January last year. Okay, now what about what this is showing? So ideally this should show in January. When I'm in January, this should show the sales of January, and this is show the last 3 months. So the last 3 months should be like my last 3 months should be January is the month where I am already, and this should be 2022 December, and this should be again 2022 November. So I have go to the validation sheet here, and in my validation sheet here, if you can see, I have this validation sheet. I have already selected this to 2020, and I have selected all the months. So I need to focus on this 114k. And so we'll do this rough calculation: 114k plus 114k plus what the January sales is for that particular period. For January sales is 154k. So plus 154. So this is almost going to be returning 382. So that's how this is returning. So how about if I only select this as -2? Okay. Now this time, what this will be doing, this will be returning whatever my January sales and whatever my December sales is. So how I'm going to do that is, now my December sales was 114k something, and my January sales is 154k. So this is returning almost 268k. Okay. Now if I go back and do it -3 here. Okay, now if you see for the March, for the month of March, what it is doing, so it is going to return the sales of March, February and January. So let's try to add those three together. So this would be 157k plus 130 plus 154k, and this is returning almost 442k. Okay, correct. So you understand. And since I'm going back only this time, I'm only going backward. How about if I want to go forward? So let's say if I go forward 3 months, so for January it is almost showing the same for 42k. Why? Because now this time it is summing up January, February and March sales. Okay, this is extremely useful in scenarios where I'm in particular exact time, like I'm in January, and I want to see, like I want to see a graph where I want to see what was my sales for last 3 months and what was my sales for projected sales for forward 3 months. So I can use this kind of scenario. Okay, how about if I change this to my +2? So now this is only summing up this 154 and 130. Okay, and this is showing 284. Okay, and for February similarly same on. So this is showing 130 plus 157k, which is 288k. Okay, hopefully you like this thing, like how you can dynamically. So this is like I have one more example. which I can show you here. So how about if I create another duplicate page here, and I can say sales analysis for B, sales analysis for B, something like this. And I just remove all those measures for now, and I have this measure, and I change this to a line chart, and I select only 2021, and I select January. Okay, so now the problem I can see here is, because this is only based on the calendar month, I need to use another function here. So in my table, sales table, I will create a new column, and I would say this as calendar, and I will say this as end of month, whatever my end of month, and I will say I think I have sales date. Yes, I have sales date. So I say whatever my, so once I did that, so this is, I'm creating a role playing dimension here. I will use this role. Okay, this would be 0. So I am creating a role playing dimension here, and in this chart, rather than using this particular year month function, I'm going to remove this year month function here, date axis, and I am going to use this calendar field here. And let's suppose I remove this, all these. Okay. So what about if I say I need to have this one? Okay. So now this is my sales. My sales is, you can see here, let's expand this one. So I can see, like, for the, this is my sales budget, right? And why I'm not seeing this? Okay, go back. I'm using this from calendar table. Okay, which is fine. Okay, just remove this for now. And if I select January, okay, so now when I select this January, so you can see this is showing as 114k, because this is the January sales. This is 154k, and this should, ideally this should show. Okay, I think I have done something wrong here. Let's remove this for now. This should ideally show, if I select January, and this is -2, so this will ideally show you the -2 months, like 442k, or the back or forward period, whatever is selected. So if I'm selecting this January, this should be 442k, which is showing correct. And if I unselect these two, so this should show me all the periods, like this is from January, this is March. Okay, with this, I think there is something wrong what I'm doing here. I will just put this in to correct this later on. With this, I think we have wrapped up exercise number 2. Any questions? We are welcome here to ask your questions.
Yeah, this was amazing one. So there are few questions are there. So can
Okay.
we go ahead with the questions?
Yes,
Okay.
sure. We can go ahead.
So questions from Puchari Gopalakrishnan is, are you able to get the DAX functions text file just to check the one which you are using, the text file?
Yeah, this one. Yeah, we can get.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And the next one is from Deepthi Patel is, as a fresher to Power BI, which are the most important DAX functions to be learned? Here in the live
Okay.
stream, many DAX functions are used.
No, 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 not many DAX function. I only use few functions. So let me go back and I can show you what functions which I use. So the basic function is you need to understand like I have used divide function, obviously. I use the sum function, and I have used the calculate function. And calculate has different variations as well. So I use calculate function with all selected. I use calculate function with filter clause. I use calculate function without filter clause. And again, I use calculate function with all selected. So the basic function or the most common function is calculate. So you need to master the art of writing the calculate function. So the
Mm.
calculate function, you need to master the art, and there are different parameters you can pass parameters here, you can pass filter things here. And again, if you see the time intelligence function which I use, so if I go back here, I can show you what. So I use date at function, I use parallel period function, and I use same period last year function, and all those with again the calculate function. And in the final part where I was using the dynamic thing, so I again utilize the same calculate statement with date at function, and in the other part I utilize this thing with date periods function. Hopefully these are some of the functions. You need to learn sum function versus sum x, or count versus count x, or distinct count function. And you need to master the calculate function, understand the different contexts of the like how the dex calculate function can be expanded. Like there are many variations to the calculate function, so how you can expand based on your business requirement. There is no right or wrong. Like whatever I have written here is like I have written last year sales. I have written three flavors with date function, with parallel period function, and with same period last year function. All three are correct depending on your business requirement. So if somebody does not care about the attribute level, like they want the cumulative last year sales, so you can simply use parallel year function or simply last year function. But if you want to extend your solution, like okay, you want to give user an ability where they can actually choose between last year, like if they want last 2 year sales or last 1 year sales or last 3 year sales, so you can extend it using a data function, and you can pass a parameter using what if parameter. So it's all depend on your business scenarios and how extendable you want your solution to be. So to start with the basic thing, like start a basic DAX which is correct and which is going to show you the correct results, and then you can later on expand on it. Hope I answered this question.
Yeah, thanks a lot for explaining in detail. One more question is about this itself is from Rago. I just want to, can you just re-explain the one which you worked on just now?
Okay, the 4B part,
Just about
I
the
guess.
measure. Yeah, correct.
Okay,
The dynamic
so
month, right? Mm.
dynamic month. Okay, so what I'm doing here is like I have used minimum and maximum date. Okay, I have used minimum and maximum date. Just this is actually making you complex, so I will just say I will only use minimum date, okay, for now. And here I am using a minimum date function. Okay, let's suppose I am using this for now. What other parts I'm saying okay, number of months, so whatever the number of month is. So you will see obvious problem with this. So let's say, suppose this one we have. So we are calculating the minimum date here, and I'm going back to 4a because this is where we'll be see all the things. So I have selected 4. So I have selected this January, February, and March. Okay, now my months is 2, which is the positive 2. Okay, so this is my positive number. And how about if I change this to a negative number? Okay, so if I change this to a negative number, and let's highlight this one again, number greater than, okay, minimum date else max date. Okay, fine. So I need to select a negative number. So with this, if you see, I need to save a file and then I refresh. So I'm using a negative number, and what it is doing right now is this is actually, this should go back 2 months. So this should, in January, what it would return me, it would return me the sales of January and February. So just to simplify this, if we are in March, so ideally it should return the sales for March and sales
Mhm.
for February. So how about if we do it like 157 plus 130. So this is almost 288k, which is correct. So let's say minus 1, which is showing me the same month. If we show 0, this is not showing anything. If we say positive 1, again this is showing 150, 150, which is correct. If I change this to plus 2, just for, okay, so if I change this to plus 2, what this should be, this should be 154 plus 130k, which is fine. 284k. Okay, I understand why we cannot replicate this here, because in my data set, if I go back here, in my data set, I open this one up here. Usually all my dates are starting date of the month, or did I change this? Yes. Usually this data set in the file which I'm using right now, I need to check the calendar date or sales date. So if I check the sales date, then I will comment either this will work or not. Not this one, this one. Okay, so this should work, right? Because I have changed it to different dates. Okay, let's say not here. Okay, go back, and we are saying that this should show the sales of January and February, because these are forward 2 months. Okay, so let's suppose I have this value. I will type the whole value. Maybe we can see some of the difference here. 1502, and then I will plus 130, 743. So this is showing correct. Okay, how about if I go back -2, and this time I would need to show this one as
150.
157 to 63. Is correct, and then I need to add 130k and 743.
Yeah.
So this is showing me 2006, which is correct. So currently this is working fine, but the problem here, let me explain here, is like if you have the positive month or if you have the negative month, like if you have a positive number or a negative number, what this actually does is doing is, let's go back here. So let's try. So this is, let's suppose if I selected, yes, I think this will now work if I just do it now. Okay, let's go back and save this one, save this file, and let's suppose I only select 1 month, which is January.
Mhm.
Okay, so this time if I select only January and I say show me the past, or I say this is February, so ideally what February should be showing. So if I select here, go back here, and I select 2021, and I select both January and February, so you see this should be 284k, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And but if I go here and I'm seeing what, 399k. Why this is the problem? Because again I have selected this 2021, but still this is showing me to 29k. So why this is happening? So if you go back here and try to debug this DAX statement, so you see when I'm selecting February, this is actually taking a minimum date from my calendar. And what I'm doing in dates and month, like what is my minimum date currently? When I select the February, my minimum date is 1st of February. And then if I go back 2 month, from 1st of February, if I go back 2 months, what would be it? It would be January, and it would be December. Okay, so
Yeah.
if you see, when this 399 came up, it's adding up uh, this one 130 plus 154, and it's adding up December last year sales as well. And that's why this 399 is coming up here as well. Okay. Okay. Now let's try to understand it with another example. Then this time I comment. I uncomment this part and I commit this part. Now this will not work for the positive cases. Okay, I know I need to change this to max date. Okay, so now the same problem is with, again, is going to be with the forward or positive numbers. How? Let's check. So this time I have again selected February and I say I need to go forward 2 months. Okay, I need to go forward 2 months. So ideally what it should show me the sales of February and March, correct? But what will happen is, like, when I say January, Feb, March, so if I go back here, when I am selecting February and March, what this is doing, this is actually doing whatever the number of month, it is taking the maximum date. So when I'm selecting February, the maximum date of February is 28th of February in 2021, right? And then it will go forward 2 months. So it will be February 28th, and then it will be March, and it will be April. So just to show you here, if I select this one as well, April as well, and so what it is adding, it is adding 157, it is
Mm-hmm.
adding 157, and then it's also adding 226 for April, and which is coming up as 383k, and it will be, so you see this is adding 383k. So because it is taking the maximum, it is not, so ideally what it should take, it should take February and March, not March and April. So to overcome this, what we are writing, we are actually have calculating both these dates, like we are calculating the minimum and maximum date, whatever is, and then we are having this particular check, like if the number of month is positive, then take the minimum date, because then we need to take the minimum date of selection. Like if the number of month is positive, like I want to go forward 2 months,
Mm.
so if I want to go forward 2 months, then I will take 1st of Feb as my starting point. But if I want to go back, then I will need to take the maximum date, which is 28th of February. So the February is included as well, and then I will go February, whole February and January. And similarly, if I select positive 2, then I will need to take the minimum of February, which is 1st of Feb, and then I will go forward one more month. Understand? Hope this clarifies the issue.
Yeah, I think that must
No?
be for the detailed explanation.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, little more. Okay, let me re-explain this one. So let's suppose if I select February, I select only one month, February. If I want to calculate the sales of forward 2 months, what I need to do, I need to go starting date of February. So the February is included and March is included as well. Okay. If I don't do this, so what it will do, it will take the maximum date of February, which is 28th February, and then it will go forward 2 months, which is March and April, which is incorrect, because I don't want to go forward 2 months from February. I want to include February as well, and then I need to include the next month, which is February and March. Correct?
Yeah, that's clear.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we
this,
got
that's
the
why we
reply
have
also.
written this statement. That's why we have written this if else if cases statement, where we can see if we want to go positive or forward, and based on this selection we are using minimum and max date. Hope you enjoyed this session today, and you guys have learned some few basic things as well.
Yeah, this was a great session actually. If you have 5 more minutes, then I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. And first of all, we received the thanks from the Deepthi and Raghav for clearing the doubts. And the next question is from Akshay Khatam. What is the difference between the measure and calculate column? When to use what?
Okay, excellent question. So if I show you here, so measures are calculating at the runtime. So this is the basic difference. So measures, what the calculation I'm writing up here, or I'm writing up here, this is, so this is calculating at the runtime. And when I calculate, I use the calculated column. Let's say I created the new column or a calculated column. This is actually evaluated or calculated at every row level, and this is actually at the load time. So that is the main difference between those. So one is calculated at the runtime when the visual is rendering. The other one is actually kept in memory when you are processing the data. It actually processes those calculated columns as well. So this and there is obvious disadvantages, performance disadvantages like that. You might need to calculate or not. Like either you are required to have this calculated column or not. Hope this is the simple difference. Other than that, there are like you can create a calculated column in Power Query as well. So you can create a calculated column in Power Query, where when you load the data, you already calculated that column in Power Query, and when you load it into the model, it will be lot simplified. So you can do that as well. So also those are like, one is called if I'm correct, one is called there are two terminologies for that. One is called calculated column, the other one is, Adnan, maybe you can help me with this. I did not get the name correctly. So there were like two, calculated and computed column. Yes. So both are interchangeably. So one is calculated in Power Query, the other one is calculated in DAX. So
Okay.
those are the difference between those calculated and computed column, but both are quite the same.
Yeah.
The main differences between calculated column versus measures. So measures, when you calculate, so if I'm writing this measure is actually calculating at this particular visual level,
Mm.
or rendering when I'm rendering it. Okay. So
Yeah.
whenever you render a visual, like I can show my screen here. So I have this chart. So when I refresh this chart here, I use the refresh button. So all these queries will be sent to Power Query, and then it will fetch the data. So all these measure will be refreshed at the runtime when I refreshed it.
Lovely. That was a detailed explanation. Thank you for that. And one more, the last question is about from Pujari is about mostly how many DAX functions usually we will use in Power BI. It actually depends on the project.
Yes. Okay. So DEX functions, there are like, as I mentioned, like calculate, you need to master your calculate function. You need to master sum versus sum X. You need to have this understanding of same period last year, parallel period, date at function. You need to have understanding between all selected, all, and all except. These are the three function, and then you need to have this filter function context as well. So these are like almost 9 or 10 function which you will be using, and again you can embed those with context and min and max functions. So these are maybe 15 functions which are very commonly used. Other than that, in a live project, if you are asking about the number of measures you would be creating, so I have seen the projects where you have almost more than 100 or 150
Yeah.
measures
Correct.
in a project. So what I usually do to organize those things, like I have organized this into the folders as well, but it would be very hard to go and find a measure and find a measure definition. So I usually create a SQL table. I'm not sure if I have this script here available. I create a table in SQL which has a uh, very sweet format, where I have the table name, column name, measure group folder name, and measure definition like measure text. All those fields are text, and I populate this as a help page. So whenever in your report you go to the help page, you see all the measures and you see
Mm.
all the measure definitions, and you will see which measure is located in which particular folder or which particular table, and what is the definition, and what is the, and I write the description of that particular measure as well, that okay, this is the use case of that particular so if I can maybe show you some script I might have. So just give me a second, let me stop sharing and just let me scroll it to one of this thing called I
Yeah.
think I might have in this system as well.
While you are fetching out, I will answer one more question. That's the last one. Is from Raghav. Is it better to create a date table inside Power Query or using DAX?
It's always better to create it inside the Power Query. Dex is kind of
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
much. So I would say I did not find it here. Why I cannot find it here? I'm not sure. Uh, Help table.
The one which you're saying is about the documenting the measures, right? It will be helpful for the business users to understand what this metrics works,
Yes.
what this
Uh,
DAX function says. Yeah.
yes. Okay. Just give me 2 more minutes. I'm not sure. I have. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fine. Yes, I have this one here up here. So let me know if I can see share my screen again. Uh,
Yeah.
okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is something like I use this dashboard helper table, which is the format you can see. So this is the measure ID. I have this one available up here. Then the client ID, program ID, calculation group ID, calculation group name, measure formula, uh, and you can say cs name, which is a user friendly name, cs formula, user friendly formula, cs description, which is again client view. You could say client view description, what the actual table name, where it is,
Mhm.
the column name on which it is based, and the major data type you can provide, and either you want to show it in a client view or not, and you can provide these something like this. Like you can provide client name config, it is a configuration measure, it is based on this particular thing. You can provide all the description up here, and so you can do it like that.
And we can bring this table in Power BI and then
Yes, you
show
could.
it on a
Yeah,
regular table
yeah,
itself.
yeah. You can bring this table into Power BI, and then you can have this table loaded up on your report, and it would be a very cool technique rather than searching. Other than that, people always find this one thing, this search thing available up here. Like if I want to
Yeah.
show like this, so they can use this call. They can use this thing like sum. You can get all the sum function, so you can do that. But this is like you are a developer. But what about the client? Like if the client wants to know, like, okay, what is the, so they would have the help tab available here, and they can go to the help tab and find all the definitions there.
All right.
Any other questions? I'm going to stop my screen sharing, and it was wonderful. I think we have almost spent 1.5 or 90 minutes.
Yeah. It was a good power pack session for me, actually. I hope everybody also has the same thing. And it was wonderful to learn from the basics and then go beyond to the extreme level of it. And I think we have still have the last part, right?
Yes,
We
we
just
still
covered
have
only the two parts.
yeah, we have the last part still remaining with us. And if
Yeah,
you guys
hopefully,
want, we can reschedule it for another
yes.
day.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, please vote for us in order to
What?
get, yeah. So that we can get time slot from Hisham and then we can schedule a call next time to go for the next level of the DAX learning. So thank you, Hisham, for joining us, and it was really a wonderful session. And you have explained everything, bit and pieces of the DAX clearly from the base to how and what it needs to be done. Not only the DAX, also you have understand about explain about other things also. Thanks
Okay.
a lot. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone. Have a nice day.
Yep. Bye, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye.